Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Hello, my loves. I'm Miss MonMon. Welcome to my channel. It's been a couple of weeks since I've posted what I thought was going to be just a 2-week break to sort out a few issues. Ended up turning into a conglomeration of adulting, which just overtook my life, and I haven't had a minute to sit down and get back to a normal swing of creating videos for you. But I am here just in time for the release of the new Barbie movie. I am beyond excited for the new Barbie movie. I just want to go and have a good time. So I, of course, think that this is a great opportunity to sew a new dress just to go and see the movie. It just so happens that my local Spotlight has quite a bit of a Barbie fabric, and it was so hard to pick just one. And even though I've chosen just one, they've released a second mini wave. Oh, I'm not supposed to be buying fabric, but I bought Barbie fabric. I mean, do you blame me? Look at it. It's so cute. So this is just a lovely plain cotton with an aggressive concentration of Barbie faces on it. I love the colors. It is giving me 90s bubblegum vibes, which I kind of miss. I miss everything being a cute pastel color. I also love the pops of blue and the hot pink, so there's lots of fun that you can have when you're accessorizing anything with this print on it. And I just wanted to make a very simple Barbie dress. When I think of Barbie dresses, I think of something similar to this dress that Barbie wears in the upcoming film. But I actually already have this dress by the Pretty Dress Company, and it is it's basically the same dress, right? So I didn't want to copy that sort of style with the single straps, which ruled out this pattern. So I was looking through my stash and I came across this pattern. This is the Very Easy Vogue V9100, and it is basically a simple, very thin strapped dress. I haven't actually used a Very Easy Vogue, so I don't know how very easy it is. So I thought this might be a fun way to test out how easy is a Very Easy Vogue. So this is the pattern we will be using. I will be sewing the size 12 because even though according to these measurements I should be a 14, I always go down a size because they always just give you too much extra room, and I don't always have enough time to perfectly fit and cut and tweak. No, just size 12 will work. And just in time for the rain to stop, we are going to pass it over to VoiceOver MonMon, and yeah, let's sew a dress.
Oh hey, it's VoiceOver MonMon here. So let's get started. The first thing that we do is, of course, cut out our pattern pieces. I had to make sure with the placement of these pieces, as I didn't want a Barbie with a wonky eye or half a face. So when I had my pieces, I added some supporting stitches to the sides of my bodice front pieces. So when it comes to attaching the princess seams, I've got a little bit more support and the fabric won't warp. This is me attaching the princess seams, and they were a really nice gentle curve, and this pattern has adjustments for bra and cup sizes, which is really good, which is probably why it fitted so beautifully in the end. This pink fabric is my lining, just in case you're wondering, as I just wanted it a little bit thicker and stiffer and well supported. I do deviate from this pattern here. This pattern actually asked me to attach the backside pieces before I attach the shoulder straps, but I'm actually going to sew the shoulder straps first and then turn my whole bodice inside out. I do this because I don't personally like slip stitching a shoulder strap, as I can never get it as smooth as I want it. What I didn't realize was these straps are actually quite thin. So right here, when I'm trying to turn my pattern inside out, it was an absolute nightmare, and it involved a lot of chopsticks and tweezers and probably a few words that would make my mother blush, but I got it in the end. I think this is the only thing I deviated from for the bodice, mainly because I like the smoothness of doing it this way, but I can see why the pattern asks for a slip stitch. When I did finally get him inside out, all I had to do was sew the sides together, and then basically my bodice was done, and it was time to move on to the skirt. My skirt was made out of 3 panels. The length was 27 inches and the width was basically whatever my fabric width was. I mark out my pieces and cut them out. I was a little bit nervous about the Barbie head placements, but they sort of looked fine in the end, which is all that matters. I then went ahead and sewed all my skirt pieces together, so I was left with a really big rectangle. When I had my massive rectangle skirt, I went along and I marked the halfway point and the quarter points. At the quarter points, I drew a line and cut a slice into my fabric because this is where I'm going to put my pockets. I added 2 pockets to this skirt, and although this slows down the process, every time I make a skirt that doesn't have pockets, I wish it did. So I basically cut a little slit into it, I make some markings so I know how much seam allowance I have, and I attach my pockets by clipping it together and sewing it down the sides. When my pockets are sewn down, I basically open them up, flip them to the back, and sew all around the edge of the pocket, and this is how you basically add pockets to anything. The biggest tip I can give is if you are a heavy pocket user like I am, because I'm always carrying around my phone and snacks, you can add an extra line of stitching to the bottom curve, as this will just add some more support to your pocket and it'll last really long. You can also add some interfacing, but I don't really need that. I think just an extra line of stitches is more than enough. With my pockets attached and I have returned my skirt to a long rectangle, it's time to gather. And I'm going to use the dental floss method. I pull out 2 reams of dental floss and then change my sewing machine settings to the widest zigzag I can. And then I simply sew a zigzag stitch over the top of the dental floss, so the dental floss is right in the middle. I then push my fabric along the dental floss and it gathers perfectly. To attach it to my bodice, I first start by matching the 2 middle points. Remember, we marked the middle of the skirt and the quarters. This is why, because it makes gathering so much easier and smoother, as I know how much skirt should be tucked into each quarter point of the bodice. I work in quarter sections starting from the middle working out, as it's so easy to move the gathers along the skirt and have a really beautifully gathered skirt right in the end. When that is done, I simply sew it together, and then I, off camera, overlocked all the raw edges just to give it a little bit more stability and a cleaner finish. The last 2 things I needed to do was add a zip and sew up the back of the skirt. And then of course do a double rolled hem along the bottom, and my dress was done. She took me a day to do, and I'm sure if I didn't procrastinate so much I could have done it in half a day, but you know, procrastination.
Are you ready to see my Barbie dress? Look at that! I love it. That's so much fun. I really love this pattern because one thing that Vogue patterns do well is they can take fabric which is flat and really give it shape and curve to fit a body well. They are just masters at what they do. An example of this is when you look at the straps. They are curved to sit on the shoulders, which if they don't fit can be a little bit of a pain to maneuver, especially if you're new. But for sewers that are a little bit more game, this is wonderful. So you might be asking the question, how easy was the Very Easy Vogue? For a beginner, you can absolutely do this. You sew in some princess seams, you sew the bodice together, attach the lining, skirt, bam, you're done. Easier said than done. The only thing I didn't like about this pattern was the way they told you to attach the sleeves together at the shoulders. The pattern wants you to attach the lining and then go in with a slip stitch and sew the shoulders together, which personally for me, I don't like doing. I actually deviated from the way the pattern wanted me to do it. I sewed the lining, did the shoulder seams together, and then turned the dress inside out and then sewed the sides down. It makes sense if you watch the video back. But the problem with this method, with this particular Vogue pattern, is getting the dress inside out was not easy at all. Because the straps were so thin, passing the entire back panel through one of the straps was a bit difficult, and it took a lot of pushing in with long sticky objects and then even getting tweezers to try and grab it and pull them through. I think it was worth it, but I can see why the pattern wouldn't recommend this, as this can be quite terrifying for people that aren't used to this sort of sewing step. In saying that, everything else was fine. Now, I'm not going to see the movie for, unfortunately, about a week and a half after it comes out. So this video will be out before I even see the film. But I just wanted to share my excitement with you, and I already know that I will most likely want to sew something from the film because, like, come on, Barbie's a style icon and a boss queen of the world. Thank you so much for watching me, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you all in the next video, which will hopefully be out next week. But until then, be kind, be true, be you. Thank you so much for joining me. Please feel free to find me on any of my social media. I have linked them all down below. If you want detailed photos of this project and this dress and the way it came out, you can also find that on my blog, which will also be in the description box below. It's so nice to be back with you guys. I've missed this. I'll see you next week. Bye! Come on, Barbie, let's go party. This is why I spend time alone. No matter how big I try to buy my mugs, some days it's still not big enough. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world.